afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into O'Neill's Grill on a Tuesday. We thank you for being here today. We got snowed out yesterday. Glad everybody was here to make it here safely this afternoon as we begin our weekly Fan and Press luncheons. Today we have head coach Kenny Brooks leading things off for us once again. And this week the Dukes once again had a 2-0 week, winning at Drexel 59-55, a game in which the Dukes were down by 18 and came back to win that contest quite obviously. And then on Sunday, before a crowd of more than 4,500 at the Convocation Center, defeated the Pride of Hofstra University 57-42. And Coach Brooks, going into this weekend, you may have had the same theme, but I was thinking this was separation weekend for the Dukes. You had a 1.5 game lead. That half game sounds like we're playing a little baseball here, but being that you're a game behind in overall games played, but made that separation 2.5 games over both Drexel and Hofstra, a very key weekend for your club.
It was, Kurt, and we actually talked about it as we headed into the weekend, but just also understanding that we needed to take it one game at a time. We felt like if we had taken care of business, throughout the weekend, it would have given us the ability to separate from the other two teams as you were playing the two teams that were tied for second, as a matter of fact. And we talked about it. As a matter of fact, the kids referenced it as separation weekend. And so I thought it was a really good weekend, very productive for us. We still have a lot of basketball left to play, but just even going back to the previous weekend, the 4 games in a row that we had, 3 on the road and then coming back and finishing with Hofstra at home, it was a very tough stretch. We knew that going in, and for us to come away, unscathed and not lose a game, it's pretty remarkable, especially considering when the away games are not, down the street, 2 hours away. You have to go to New York, and then we had to go all the way up to Boston, had to come back home, and then go back up to Philadelphia, then come back home and play against Hofstra in a very intense, emotional game. So I thought the kids did a really good job of taking it one game at a time and coming away with, 4 victories. I think will go a long way for us.
Coach, I referenced the being down by 18. That was in the second quarter, so plenty of game left in that ball game. And you now have done that 21 times. I know you're going to tell me I don't like being down by double figures. I mean, who does? But do you use that history of coming back from those double-digit deficits as you train your squads to don't worry about that we can get back into this thing?
Well, I don't know if you ever can really train your squad. I don't know how you practice, the emotion of being down by 18 in a game. But fortunately and unfortunately, we've been down by that much, myself as the head coach, where you've been in a scenario and you know how to really understand it. What I've been able to do is to really evaluate to see why you've gotten down by 18 points so early. And I think we attributed a lot of it. We just came out lethargic. I thought we were lethargic. We played really bad, and they played really well, and during that stretch, and so we didn't panic. There's the old cliche that they can't keep shooting that well, and that's really what we thought. It just seemed like every shot they were taking, they were making. They were tough shots. They were shots that we were baiting them into taking. They were just making them. They were contested by role players who just really hit a lot of shots. And they built a really big cushion very early in the game. And, you can have cause to panic because anytime you get down to Drexel, I always equate it to if you get down to Drexel, just times the deficit by 1.5, and that's really how much you feel like you're down. It's kind of like the wind chill factor. You go outside and they say it's 6 degrees outside, but it feels like negative 6 degrees because of the wind chill. That's kind of what it's like when you get down to Drexel because they're very slow, methodical in their offense. They minimize possessions throughout the basketball game, and they really make you think about every possession, every shot, because there's not going to be a lot of possessions throughout the game. But the one thing that we did, I was very proud of the kids, even though we got off to a lethargic start, we turned it up. We turned it up without panicking, and we found a sense of urgency on the defensive end. But we didn't rush too much on the offensive end. And normally when you're trying to come back, you get into a mode where you're playing hurry up on both ends. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But we just took the game in increments. I said, hey, look, there's no such thing as an 18-point play. Let's chip away at this. Let's try to, and as you alluded to, there was so much time left in the game in the half. I said, hey, let's try to get this into to 10 points going into the locker room. And it was 16 points. We were down. Muff had the ball attacking the basket with 6 seconds left. She got fouled. and she missed the ensuing free throw. Dee Dee Griffin ran it down, got the ball, got it to Muff, and she threw it into Kayla Cooper-Williams, who scored at the buzzer, which took us to 12, which was really a good working point for us. We got into halftime, and we talked about it. We said, hey, they played as well as they could play. We probably played as bad as we could play. Let's try to get this thing down to 6, or 8 before the media, 5 minutes. And lo and behold, we came out with an 8-0 run. And it really changed the whole complexion of the game from there on out. We weren't hurrying. We weren't pressing. We were just trying to speed them up a little bit and take our time on the offensive end. And then we got clutch performances from Jasmine Gwathmey and Muff Mickens in the fourth quarter. They really put us over the top, and we were able to escape with a very good win.
You used a lot of players from the various classes, from freshmen all the way up to seniors. So in a game like that, who is it that is really dictating the tempo or controlling the sense of urgency and keeping it tempered, you might say?
Well, I think Muff, she's the leader, and we go as she goes. And I kind of got on her a little bit because I thought that she was the one that was very lethargic in the beginning, kind of letting the game come to her. Or in a game like that, she needs to dictate the tempo. And she wasn't doing so. She did a great job of that in the second half. And Jasmine struggled a little bit because, it was almost like rec league basketball. It was like beehive basketball. When she touched the ball, it was like 3 of them were attacking her, and she had to just pass the ball out. And it really frustrated her because she really hadn't seen that look before. But like I've told her all along, she's going to see trick defenses. But the thing about a trick defense is that a team is usually not able to do that throughout the course of the game because they're not accustomed to doing it, and it takes them out of their element. And they loosened it up a little bit, went back to their regular defense in the second half. And, Jasmine, she got really frustrated in the third quarter. She had some back rim shots that weren't falling. She got a couple silly fouls, and I had to sit her. And when I looked at her, she was visibly upset. And she said, I just feel like I'm letting the team down. And I wiped away some sweat, maybe a tear or two in there. And I said, hey, look, just play your game. Just play your game. Don't worry about it. And lo and behold, she hits a shot at the end of the third quarter that I thought really got her going. And then she was able to ice the game pretty much in the fourth quarter. I think she scored 13 points, capped it off with a 28-foot three-pointer bomb that just put the nail in the coffin for us. But, as you mentioned before, too, we had some kids who were just stepping up and playing. There was a very key part of the game, and I had 3 freshmen in the game. And not by accident because someone was in foul trouble, because I thought that was the best lineup for us at that particular time. Case in point, Nia Young, a seldom used reserve, was in the game with a minute to go in the game and making really good plays for us. So they're very talented. They're coming along, and it really doesn't matter. They're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. We're finding kids who can step up and contribute for us in very valuable ways.
You mentioned how it feels 1.5 times the lead when you play at Drexel. In Sunday's game, I chatted with a number of people after the ball game. There were many that said it didn't seem as close as it was in watching the game. I'm sure as a coach you don't feel like there's never enough of a cushion there. But how did that game feel to you as far as the way it was being played, dictated by JMU and controlled by the Dukes against the Pride on Sunday?
No disrespect to Hofstra, but I felt the same way. I really felt like we were in control of the basketball game. And I didn't think we played as sharp as we really are accustomed to on the offensive end, but I thought our defense was stifling. And when you score, when you hold an opponent as potent as Hofstra is, as a veteran group as Hofstra is, to 42 points, you feel like that you're in control of the basketball game. And I thought we really took them out of some of the things they wanted to do. Hofstra against us, they're becoming a lot like Drexel, where they really want to slow the tempo and they want to walk it up. They want to minimize the possessions, keep us from running. I really don't think that any team in our league can transition with us. Because with Muff Mickens leading the break, kids understanding where they're going to get their shots on the break, we're as deadly as anyone. And if you get into a track meet with us, it's probably not going to be a favorable situation. So people know that. They're trying to really slow down the tempo. So therefore, I felt like we were always in control of the basketball game. I thought we missed some opportunities to push the lead out, that we could have had an even more comfortable cushion, especially at the end of the half. I just felt like we were leaving points on the board by not capitalizing on our stops, our defensive stops. But we missed some shots that we that we normally make that would have allowed us to have that cushion to play a little bit more freely. But still, and I have to watch myself because as a coach, you're always wanting your team to play, perfect basketball. And, at this time of the year, it's not always going to be perfect basketball. And sometimes the other teams are going to dictate whether the game is going to be slow, fast, pretty, or ugly. And as I sit at home and I watch, some of the, quote, better teams in the country, and, their offenses are stalling and they're scoring 48 points, I think that we're playing pretty well. We're playing pretty well and understanding it. And when you look at the adversity that we're staring in the face, you have Precious Hall and you have Ashley Perez on the bench. You're going to have some moments like that. And as one coach alluded to, that everyone has injuries, but I don't think everyone has 38 points sitting on the bench between two kids. And for us to really still be doing what we're doing in the face of that adversity, I think it's remarkable resolve shown by our kids and how they just understand that, okay, we're good, next man up, and let's keep on going.
Did get an email from Brian Allen, a fan of the Dukes, lives up in Sterling, Virginia. A couple of questions regarding P. Hall and Ashley Perez. Just where are they? What's going on with them right now?
Well, obviously Precious Hall is out for the season, and she's going to redshirt, and she'll be back next year to hopefully have a wonderful senior year. But just giving you her update. She's jogging now. She's running. We're doing individual workouts with her, although they're moderate, to what they will be here in the near future. But she's participating in some drills in practice, the very light ones. But just her progress and just her ability to be around and just cheer her teammates on in a very positive manner is a tremendous plus for us. She actually helped me in the Drexel game when normally we're getting beat and things aren't going well, and she knows my personality, and if I'm screaming a little bit too much, she gave me a little pat and say, hey, everything's going to be okay. And that goes a long way from a kid who's probably already scored 1,600 points for you. But she's doing wonderfully, well ahead of schedule. We'll be able to make a full recovery. I think that she'll start playing pickup as soon as the season is over with, so she gets her confidence back. Ashley Perez is just dealing with a high ankle sprain. And I can relate to it. I didn't have a high ankle sprain my senior year, but I tore ligaments. Right about the same time she sprained her ankles and missed about the same amount of time that she's missing. So I've been playing Dr. Phil for her. Going through my past experiences. But I think you'll see her relatively soon. We're going to become a little bit more aggressive with her rehab and to get her out on the court to see what she can do. And she's the toughest kid that we have, so if she can push through the pain, if anyone can push through the pain, it's her. But we won't do anything that's going to damage her. We want to make sure that she's ready to go for the tournament, but we're hoping it's going to be relatively soon and we can incorporate her back into the offensive scheme.
He also noticed, as probably other fans did too, redshirt Amber Porter was on the bench in another cast. What's her status?
She has a situation with her foot. We ruled out the Liz Frank. It was just a freak accident where she was just running back down the floor and just felt something pop. But this was well before Christmas. So she has not practiced with us since probably 1st of December. She's been rehabbing. Just got to the point where they said, okay, let's cast it to protect her from herself so that she can't put pressure on it. Just felt like maybe that when we weren't looking, maybe she wasn't taking care of her foot as well as she probably should have been. So put it in a cast, and therefore she has no choice but to really be careful with it. And, with her not, being able to play this year, we're able to do that for her right now, and hopefully she'll be able to come back and be able to participate in team activities once the season is over with. But nothing serious to where it's going to affect her future.
Yeah, and that's that same type of injury that one Vad Lee had, I think, football-wise. We do see Mr. Lee in attendance here today, by the way. Let's there you go. He gets a little shout-out there. Let's turn it over to other members of the media here at O'Neill's Grill.
Coach, you talked about shot making, and you seem to be doing better than your opponents in the CAA when it comes to the perimeter shots. How integral is that aspect of the game to your team this season compared to, let's say, last year when you had someone like a Lady Okafor can get that inside?
It's who we are. You go back and you look at teams like a Golden State Warriors and, all the basketball purists, up until last year were saying jump shooting teams can't win a championship. I disagreed with that. The Warriors dispelled that. And when your strengths are in your perimeter, you want to go with your strengths. And you look at the situation. We still get our points in the paint. They're just not by the traditional players. Muff Mickens gets into the paint and scores. A point in the paint is a point in the paint. You don't get more because it came from a center or it came from a forward. If your point guard gets in there, that's just as effective. And she gets a lot of points in the paint. Jasmine gets a lot of points in the paint. So we're still getting our points, relatively close to the basket, but we do rely on the perimeter. Jasmine Gwathmey is probably the best mid-range shooter that I've ever had, and we want to get her the ball in her sweet spots. And then we're not shooting the three as well as I would have liked or as well as we have in the past, but we're still shooting them. And I'm call me quirky, call me crazy. I still think that you need to shoot them. I really do. And whether our kids are on or not, the fact that they are shooting it really still gets into the psyche of the opponent because they know that Haley Barron can shoot them, whether or not she's 1 for 7 or whether or not she's 5 for 13. They know that she can make that three, so it stretches the defense. Jasmine Gwathmey keeps people at bay because she can shoot the three, but she can also drive. So it's still a big part of our game. And I'm the type of coach that if I know a kid can make a three, I don't care if they're 0 for 5. I want them. You can never become 1 for 6 if you stop shooting at 0 for 5. And I want you to continue to shoot because that's a part of our game plan. And I think our kids thrive in that, knowing that we back them if they have an open look to let it fly because it really helps your offense in so many ways. Even if you miss it, I used to tell Dawn Evans every now and then, I tell her before the game, I say, go ahead and get you one early. And that meant go ahead and take a 25-footer early because it would really mess with the psyche of your opponent because they would think, she has a green light to shoot this. I have to push out on her, so now it opens up the lanes for her to be able to drive. So, it's just who I am, the way we coach, and I will always encourage our kids to be aggressive. And if you are, one of my sayings before every game, I said, do what you do and do it well. Rebounders rebound, passers pass, and shooters shoot. And they all go out and they live by that motto and they do it and they play well.
William & Mary is coming up. It's the one blemish on your conference record. I'm wondering, how is this team, your team, different from that first encounter, and vice versa? I mean, from looking at scouting, how is William & Mary different from that first encounter?
You know what? It probably will be a waste of my time to watch that film, because we're totally different. And I think we are a large part different because of that game. It really helped us. We went down the stretch and we played with kids who were not accustomed to being the go-to person. That game got tight down the stretch, and the first time Muff and Jasmine had to be the go-to players. Normally they look for Precious to bring us home during situations like that. So we're a much different team. They're accustomed to playing down the stretch and looking for the ball and wanting the ball, and they grew leaps and bounds because of that game. And you look at William & Mary as well. They lost their best player since that game, and Abby Rendell, who is their low post presence. And so I think it's two teams that have gone in different directions. Nonetheless, that's been a game we've been looking forward to for a very long time. That's the kind of game that allows us to be the hunter. That's what we've been trying to, live by, is to be the hunter this year. And and a game like that with that opponent coming in here, who is the one blemish on your record, allows you to become, the hunter. And we can look back at the game and it's a bad loss for us in a lot of different ways. You look at our RPI. I think our RPI now is 35, and you take that blemish off, and it's probably a little bit higher. And then now you're talking about at-large bids or whatnot. But it is what it is. It was a loss that we felt like that we let slip away, but it also allowed us to grow as a team because of that.
And that game is at home, and we can talk all day about how great the convo is. Have they really become pretty much an extra part of your roster?
They've always been an extra part of our roster. And, you look at 4,500 fans on Sunday and programs like that. Kudos to our marketing department, the administration, everyone. I don't know who created Duke Dog Reading Day, but whoever came up with that, they probably should go into the Hall of Fame. No joke, because that is exactly the way you're supposed to do it. We look at so many programs around the country, and in particular in our league, and they have education days, but they want to play 11:30 on a weekday as a field trip. And the kids come in, and they don't know if they're at a science museum or a basketball game, and they don't care. They just know they're not in school, and they're not particularly paying attention to the game. And so probably when they go home, their mother and father might say, "How was your day?" And they would say, "Great, we went on a field trip." And that's about the extent of it. Where our marketing department, whoever came up with the situation of rewarding kids for reading, is twofold, because it gives the kids an incentive to read, but also to have an opportunity to come to the basketball game. And when you come to the game on Sunday during the regular time, because of this reward, you have to bring your parent. And your parent, they come, because the parents are the ones who are going to end up bringing kids back, because of the experience, not because of word of mouth from their kid. And I think that the way we do it, I've had several people come up to me, and they would say things like, "I had never been to a women's basketball game until I came to Duke Dog Reading Day, and because of that experience, now I'm a season ticket holder." And I think that is the way to do it. So I think that whole day has really helped us build our fan base. I think the kids' play has helped build our fan base, and I think we feed off of each other. I think the fans love watching our kids play. They've been blessed to see some tremendous players come through here. I hope they're stopping and smelling the roses as I am to watch people like Muff Mickens and Jasmine Guathme perform. And then in return, our kids love playing for the fans, not in front of the fans, for the fans. If we play well, they want to attribute it to the fans. If we don't play well in front of them, they feel bad because they didn't put on a good show for the fans. And I think it's a give situation, and I love it. I had a referee come up to me during the game on Sunday, and he said, "I wish more programs had as much support as you guys do. This is awesome," and I concurred. And so just the crowd, JMU Nation, the kids, it's a really good marriage.
Last one from me. Injuries are obviously a part of the game. They've certainly been a part of your narrative for this season. They've more recently been a part of Matt Brady's narrative, and he just walked into the room. I'm wondering, what are the conversations like? Do you guys exchange any advice at all, since now it's become his problem too?
You know what? Matt's a really good friend of mine, and we talk way more than just basketball. We barter with each other. There's days where he counsels me, and there's days that I counsel him. So we don't have to pay each other. We just kind of barter for those services. But we definitely talk about certain situations like that. And my situation is a little bit different because I was able to prepare a little bit more leading into the season. His kind of hit him with like a little 1-2 punch, really quick. But they are part of the game. As Krista Kilburn says, they're part of the game. They just affect some of us differently when it's a little bit different when you have injuries and the people on your bench combine for 2, 4, 6 points, where in our situation they combine for 36 points. I think his situation they combined for probably 30 points. So it's tough. It's tough, but you can look at it one or two ways. Football had the situation. We had it. Now Matt's going through it. You can whine, you can cry about it, you can throw in the white flag, or you can say, okay, next man up. All right, we have to deal with it because, as one coach told me, no one's going to feel sorry for you. No other opponent's going to still feel sorry for you, and you just have to go out and you have to do what you have to do, and that's why you have deep benches and whatnot. So. I know. I saw Ron at the convo. He's working diligently to get back. Hopefully, he'll be back in time. For the stretch run, for them to be able to make some noise in the tournament. But it's just how you handle it, and I think Matt's doing it. Everett did it great. You never once heard Everett, say, "Oh, hey, the season's over with." You're not going to hear Matt say that, and you're definitely not going to hear us say that. And it is part of it, and you have to deal with it. I just hope that everyone understands how hard it is. It's not easy. It's not easy. And what we've been able to do, what football was able to do, and what Matt's probably going to be able to do, it's not easy. It's not easy taking out a main cog, a main piece of what you're trying to do and try to continue on your winning ways. But, that's the challenges of coaching, and you have to embrace them and go with it, and I think we're all doing that.
All right, the Dukes are at home this coming weekend. They have 2 home games. They'll begin a stretch of 3 in a row as the Dukes continue this stretch of 3 in a row, I should say. The Dukes entertain William and Mary, 7 o'clock on Friday night. That is also a pink out game. So the first 300 fans through the Convocation Center doors will receive a pink out flag, or a towel that is, to wave around. And again, that is through Gate D. And then following that on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, we go back to the standard 2 o'clock. You were there on time Sunday.
I was.
Yeah, there were some others that were a little behind schedule, I think. But the Towson Tigers come to town for the second meeting there. Coach, thank you again for joining us. Best of luck as you prepare for 2 more home games this weekend at the Combo.
Thank you very much, Kurt.